Hi, folks. The Filipino P here. And today we have a story with international implications, as a foreign vlogger was recently arrested in the Philippines and charged with multiple offenses. He's now facing a potentially stiff prison sentence. But exactly what is he accused of? And could you suffer the same fate by not knowing the law? Fortunately, we've got a Filipino attorney to dissect the case and tell us how this content creator wound up behind bars. All right, so welcome back to my show, Attorney Dave. It's so nice to see you. And today we're going to be talking about something controversial. It's all over the internet and the tabloids and all news outlets here in the Philippines because of this Russian vlogger who is a green card holder. He lives in the US and then went to the Philippines and doing all these things, harassing people. So his name is Vitali. I believe he is currently detained and he broke a lot of Philippine laws.
Yeah, that's correct. To name a few, he stole a patrol motorcycle from a security guard. He also repeatedly took the security guard's cap, stole an electric fan from a restaurant, and then he threatened a woman in public. And he tried to jump on the roof of a moving vehicle. And finally, he tried to drive a tricycle recklessly in Metro Manila. And that was just one part of the video. The next part was that he was in Boracay. And while in Boracay, he made derogatory comments against a surfing instructor. And then when he was not happy with the service, he asked or encouraged the viewers to leave negative reviews for the instructor's local business. So that's just a few of his criminal actions in a span of few days.
I just don't get it. I don't know. I mean, it's so childish to do that. I know pranks are a big thing on YouTube. There's no harm when it comes to just, harmless
Yeah,
pranks. And
that's
it's
correct.
just for
We
that.
like harmless pranks, but this prank committed by Vitali is actually harmful. And that's the reason why he was detained by the Philippine authorities.
Does this guy think that we're serious about detaining him? Because he seems like he's smiling, he's smirking, that kind of stuff during the interview. I mean, during the press conference.
On a press conference, he was making an L mark, which I do not know, but it's a symbol. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a loser. Maybe he was referring to the Philippine authorities that detained him. I don't know. Maybe there was a satisfaction on his part that if he does a harmful prank, it may boost his viewership. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason why he did that.
Okay, well, I also checked that video, and apparently, aside from the things that you have mentioned above, he also attempted to kiss and grab someone, and he
Okay.
also tried to seize a service firearm and taking videos of people without their consent. So, what are the laws about filming in public, attorney?
Anybody can actually film you in public. But there's also an element of how the video is being used. For example, if your face is shown on the video and then it will be used for something else, then it will require your authorization or consent. But if the video is for personal purposes only, my collection, for example, then I don't need the consent of everybody who is in the video.
What if there are people there that they don't want to be video? They specifically said that I'm sorry, I don't want to be in, part of your video. Once you said that you don't want to be filmed, the
Obviously,
guy
if you have already shown that you don't want to be filmed, then obviously you have shown your right, exercise your right not to be filmed in public, and hence that video that he used is already illegal and must not be shown anywhere else in public in online streams.
using that video for monetization and also trying to say bad things about your reputation, which is a different kind of law.
Since you have mentioned that one, there were so many laws in the Philippines which he violated. And I'd like to discuss one thing first. Slander. Of course, we know the keyword slander may be termed as oral defamation or, maliciously spoken words tending to cause dishonor or discredit somebody. In the case of Vitaly, though, he mentioned he made derogatory words against public officials and private people, right? So if you go back to the video, he really mentioned all of those derogatory words, and even bad words, for example, can cause dishonor and discredit somebody. Specifically in that video where he encouraged his followers to give negative comments on the business of the surfer, that is to discredit the business. Oral slander, those that are mentioned by words. And then we have slander by deed, that is spitting, the gestures, like the F word, the gestures by hands that causes discredits or dishonors a person. That's just one thing that he did. As to jail time, it depends actually, because it may be more than what is specified in the law because of the number of crimes that he committed.
Not only because he's a vlogger, if someone does the same thing, even just, a regular person here in the Philippines, if it's maliciously or its intention is to malign a person or a business, then that also applies, right, attorney?
Of course. And we have discussed in a previous video, which you guys, if you haven't seen that, you need to go back to that video. We've made a thorough discussion on this one, that Philippine laws apply to Americans or foreigners who come to the Philippines. So our criminal justice system applies to Filipino citizens and even non-Filipinos who sojourn or live temporarily in the Philippines, which includes the tourists. And unfortunately, that covers Vitaly as well. So our criminal justice system applies to him.
Let's say, for example, attorney, someone's trying to start a rumor just to tarnish your reputation.
That would be unjust vexation. Making stories about a person just for the sake of making stories, just to annoy them or discredit them or dishonor them. That falls under unjust vexation. You're laughing probably because you know some people in mind, right? I know some people in mind. So we have a term in the Philippines called marites, and marites in the Philippines means, the naysayers, people who make stories about you. Yeah, so people think it's a small thing, but actually it's a crime under our Philippine laws. You can be jailed for that.
Ooh, I should start filing.
Because of what happened with Vitaly, I think that the government will be strict in admitting foreigners into the country. And unfortunately, there are so many good foreigners in the Philippines. There are also foreigners who, like Vitaly, who have committed crimes, and there are still foreigners, undocumented crimes committed by several foreigners. So I think that the government will be stricter this time, and this would shed light to the crimes committed by foreigners against Filipinos.
What about his camera person? Because obviously someone's following him, doing all these.
Well, what they know is that the cameraman was a Filipino, and that Vitali was telling the authorities that it was the cameraman who induced him to do those actions. That's according to him. And so these authorities are still looking for that Filipino cameraman.
Is he also liable when it comes to, breaking the law? Because
Yeah.
he might be an accomplice. So there is like, is it gonna be the same punishment?
It is not the same though. That's why I mentioned that Vitali is still the principal perpetrator here. He was the one who really did those actuations, those acts. But the cameraman may be guilty of being an accomplice. Maybe instead of telling Vitali not to do those acts, maybe he supported Vitali, so he becomes an accomplice. And the penalty for an accomplice is lower in degree compared to the principal perpetrator.
And it sounded like he's facing what, 25 plus years in jail if found guilty.
Probably, and it depends on the justice system that we have. I won't be preempting it. There we have a procedure to follow, and some crimes are absorbed in the other. I'm not saying that all of these will be included in the prosecution, but if one is committed, it might be absorbed in the other, so it will lessen the prison time. But nevertheless, I want him to be in prison personally, just to teach him a lesson. Aside from that crime that he committed, he may also face liabilities for threats. We have grave threats and light threats, and in under our Philippine laws, if harassment involves threatening harm or injury, for example, if I tell you, you give me that thing that you're holding and I'm going to punch you, that may be a light threat, right? And then if I tell you, you give me your wallet or I will cut your head, that may be a grave threat, depending on the threat that you mentioned. So Vitaly may be penalized under that one. We have heard in the video, we have watched in the video that he actually made those statements against a security guard. Like he threatened the security guard that he would do something physically if the security guard would not give him or hand him over the motorcycle.
Oh yeah, there's that for portion attorney that he was holding a banana and he asked if he could to the guy's ASS. That's sexual harassment, right?
That would fall under sexual harassment, yes. Good that you mentioned that one. We have the RA 11313 that is a specific law addressing public sexual harassment. So that's what Vitaly committed when he did that one. We have the unwanted sexual remarks, the persistent unwanted attention in public places that a person commits in streets, public transportation. We have online spaces, even online spaces.
This is kind of interesting when that press conference when they presented Vitali in handcuffs and Secretary Remulia also mentioned about he was vlogging without a permit in BGC. Is there like maybe this is just exclusive for BGC because that's like the ritzy place.
There are laws that apply to specific people or specifically to a place, and sometimes it's under an ordinance. For example, an ordinance that applies only to Taguig, which is where BGC is, or maybe a regulation that the mall has. So if you violate that one, then you violate an ordinance or you violate the regulations of a specific place, and that's what Vitaly committed. He violated an ordinance in Taguig which disallows taking videos without permission from the authorities.
So just an FYI, guys, even though it's in public, there are places here in the Philippines that you're not allowed to just start vlogging. I know that there's this impression once you're in public, you're gonna just, go with the flow. You can, start filming. But we have like some intricate laws when it comes to privacy here. And that's the thing. If they're not okay you filming their establishment, then you're violating the law.
That's why you need permission, because not everybody wants to be filmed or wants to be included in your video or live streaming. So yeah, you always have to ask. For example, a security guard or customer service, you just have to ask whether the mall will allow live streaming or videos.
I also heard that he tried to well, there's theft, attempted theft. He stole that industrial fan from a mall and then a face mask, like that LED expensive face mask for, beauty routine from a mall, and also the trike. He stole a trike and then rode it recklessly in public highways in Manila. So those are separate laws that he broke. So in estimate attorney, I know that it's too early to assume that he'll be in jail for a long time, but they are not just trying to deport him. They wanted to jail him here first for the offenses that he committed before deporting and blacklisting him. So meaning to say, he has to serve jail time for the crimes he committed before we deport him.
Reporting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you a safe estimate though, because I don't want to preempt the courts. We only know like 50% of what he did, and there's still so many more. Um, my estimate would be, if given that he will not be deported, because it's possible that after the prosecution he might be deported. But if he's going to serve a full sentence, I would give an estimate of around 6 to 8 years. That's my estimate. So that's still
Okay.
it's still a long time, and that includes the 2 to 3 years of trials and hearings, because hearings in the Philippines, especially in criminal case, are quite long. So just the hearings and trials alone, it would take him around 2 to 3 years before he gets a judgment of the case, and then he serves the remaining sentence.
2 to 3 years before getting a verdict.
Yes, that's correct.
Yikes.
If the penalty imposed on Vitali is 6 years and above, he may not be able to apply or pay for a bail. It is within the discretion of the courts whether or not they will allow bail for him. And one of the funny thing here is that the courts may deny bail if they think that you would commit the same crimes if you get out of prison. Or if you are like a flight risk, for example, then if the courts know that if they allow you to post bail, then you would just fly out of the country and run um from your obligations here, then they would not allow that one.
Attorney, where is he currently located right now? Is he in prison in the Filipino population, or is there a special prison cell for foreigners?
I don't think he's given any special detention center. What I know is that he is currently detained in a Bikutan detention center. So I'm sure that that is not a separate detention center for foreigners. That's where everybody who gets arrested in Taguig, that's where they all get detained. He's going to feel the harshness of Philippine prisons.
In the Philippines, it's like
That's not the case in the Philippines. And you guys watching this one, you can search the internet and search for Philippine prisons for you to know the environment that our prisons have.
how many people are there in a cell?
So last time I went there, that was in Manila. A prison cell is thrice the size of a regular bathroom. It has around like let's say 20 inmates inside.
20 inmates? Yikes.
There are no beds. There are no. There is a shared bathroom, so it means that those 20 people will have to adjust themselves just to fit in and sleep at night. So that is the unfortunate scenario in our prisons here.
And I just also want to emphasize, guys, that our our court system here is not like most of the Western countries. We don't have a jury. We only have a judge to decide
Yeah, that's
when it
correct.
comes.
It's all about evidence based. Both parties will have to make argumentations based on the evidence they have, and the judge will make judgments in favor of the party who has more evidence compared to the other. And there's no jury who will decide independently. So it really depends. That's why they always tell you if you all get detained in the Philippines, you choose or hire a good lawyer because a good lawyer might be able to save you from imprisonment.
Okay, so if a foreigner gets arrested, attorney, should he call the embassy? Should he call a lawyer right away? What's the best course of action for him?
Well, it's not always easy to call an embassy,
Mhm.
right? So sometimes the embassies would have to cater to so many people. It's always easier to call a lawyer, a local lawyer who can help you, because sometimes embassies know the laws of their countries, but not the law of the Philippines. But if you are detained in the Philippines, it's better to call a local lawyer. The local lawyer knows the procedures in the under the local laws. So I would rather that you talk or consult with a lawyer in the Philippines.
So, for you folks that might need legal advice, I'll be putting attorney Dave's contact info in the description box and you can shoot him a message. Again, attorney, thanks a lot for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
I'll see you soon, attorney. Thanks again. Bye. If you think about it, I'm kind of like the farmer's daughter, ready to make you laugh while helping you grow your plans for the Philippines. I can also tell you how to find a good Filipina so you don't end up with a hoe. If you appreciate all my labor, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel, and tap the notification bell so you'll know when it's time to harvest the next video. And don't forget to check out my Patreon page for extra content and exclusive videos and features.
Hey, the traveling salesman's here to see you again.
He's such a nice man. He promised to plow my field. I don't think that's where the seeds go.